Hello, welcome to the Heated Debate brought to you by Emirates. The group stages are done, the round of 16 are nearly done, and now we will be looking ahead to the quarterfinals. But before we get into that, Zach, Sam, welcome. I thought we'd react to some of the pundits' predictions ahead of the tournament. We've got Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville's predictions on the board right here. Zach, I'm coming to you first because England, I mentioned the quarterfinals, they've both got us going out. It will be against France, so do you think that's spot on, yes or no?
Yeah, I mean, considering they've made all of these predictions before a game was the ball was kicked, I think they're not too bad. Look, we spoke about England yesterday and their upcoming game against France, how we're feeling about it. If you are using your head over your heart, I think it's fair enough to say that England will make it to the quarters. We always kind of felt that was going to be what it would be. Would face France at that stage, and so if I'm thinking honestly, I can understand why they've put that. Though, if they were thinking with their heart, surely they would have gone all the way. I'd really like to know what they think now. After watching England, I actually think they might give them a little bit more. I feel like Neville, after the performance of Bellingham and the game against Senegal, was really, really impressed. And so he might be more willing to change. It's just, look, it's France, it's Kylian Mbappe, it's not going to be easy. So I think it's a fair enough shout from them. However, I do take some points off for not believing.
Do you know what? Well, Gary, Jamie, if you want to come to the Heated Debate studio, jump on and give us some updated predictions, you can do. Sam, quarters against France, are they both going to be wrong? Yes or no? Are England going through to the semis?
I would like to say, that they could get through. I think the game's actually going to be quite 50-50, and I've seen a lot of people talk about how we have to go at France to, impose ourselves. You've seen England in the past play those bigger games and almost play too restricted, too cautious. And I think, France have obviously got Mbappe, and he's the best player in the world right now, in my opinion. So you're going to have to consider that. But at the same time, England have got threats as well. They're used to playing against the Varans, Lloris in goal. He's also got a few shaky moments in him as well.
Sure.
I think it's 50-50. I think if you ask them now, I agree with Zach, they'll probably say semis, final, but because of France's pedigree in the tournament, I can see why they put that.
Right, let's move on to Wales. Okay, I so hope they'd both be wrong. I wanted them to go through. I'd bought tickets in advance thinking they'd finish second in the group. They did go out in the group, so I mean, they got it spot on, Zach.
Bang on, I think, again, with their heads, it's a smart decision. I think all of us kind of wanted to look at Wales getting to their first World Cup in however long and being able to do it. And unfortunately, they didn't. There were some games where they made a good showing of themselves. I thought at least the 45 minutes in the second half against the USA, I felt like, oh my goodness, they could do something here. However, it very much kind of fell apart.
They just don't have the team. They just didn't have the...
You've got to remember the size of Wales to get to this point and to have the players that they do have in like Gareth Bale and so on and so forth. They've done well.
Yes, they did well to get here. First World Cup in 64 years. We've heard that time and time again. I'm not disrespecting anyone that supports Wales, any of the players, anything like that. Let's make it clear. But they were poor. They were poor overall.
We expected more, especially because obviously the hype is always going to happen when Wales is coming to the World Cup, but at the same time with the players like Bell, knowing that it's probably going to be his last tournament, Ramsey as well, those leaders that we've seen, what they've done in the Euros in the past and what they've done for their country, expected a little bit more, and I think they could have done better.
Yeah. Right, well, from a spot-on prediction to one that was completely off.
We need to call that out.
That is.
Zach, over to you.
I can understand why, though. I can understand why.
Because it's lazy.
No, because
it's lazy.
At the Euros, Denmark were great. But also leading up to this tournament, they were good as well. But here, one of those teams as well that failed to live up to expectations.
I very much feel like the boys have seen what they did at the Euros and gone, you know what? They're going to do it again. And how often does it actually happen at major tournaments? Very, very rarely. So I can understand why, they've seen them do well at the Euros. They've gone, Eriksen is playing very well for Manchester United. And so we'll see what happens. And they weren't that good. They weren't that good at all. I think when you're actually... And it's obviously easier for us to say that now with the tournament where it is the last game of the round of 16. If we're actually doing it, I think you'd look at teams like Japan, who have shocked a lot of countries. Morocco as well, who played.
Very easy to say though with hindsight. Surely Denmark, they should have been the team that went through overall of these surprises.
I also think Morocco though, like I think people didn't really consider them as like a surprise package. But when you look at the team that they have, their setup and the quality of their players, it would have made sense to put them in this position.
And I also feel like when you were the surprise team of the previous tournament, you can't then be the surprise team again. People are knowing, people expect you to do better because you've done well. And so, I mean, Denmark is where I kind of disagree with. Like, look, and if you'd gone for Japan before, everyone would have been like, what are you on about? Like you've got or Morocco maybe even more so. There'd be huge shocks and huge surprises. I think I personally didn't expect Croatia to do as well as they've done, and I know obviously they went
semi-finalists.
Yeah, I know.
Finalists, sorry, they beat England in the semi-finals.
Older as
but
well.
they're a lot older, and it was only really as the competition kept going, I was like, oh, their midfield is actually still ridiculously good.
Right, so if we're calling out Jamie and Gary, we've got to call out James Alcott and Thogden because Thogden he had Denmark as his surprise package. James had Serbia. Two poor choices again.
That is a howler. That is a howler of a call, to be fair.
Any thoughts on that, Sam?
James, he likes thinking, outside the box, and I think that was a bit too far out. But I can see why they've got some players. But yeah, when you look at what they've done at the tournament,
it's part of the game. You live and die by the sword, right? And sometimes you make great shouts, and sometimes you don't.
Right, then let's move on. They've all had, both of them had the same predictions so far. So let's make it very clear. Jamie Carragher's predictions are at the top. So for player of the tournament, he chose Messi. Gary Neville, his is at the bottom. He chose Neymar. No Mbappe. You said best player in the world right now, Sam.
Yeah,
they're not agreeing.
I'm surprised that they didn't choose Mbappe, especially after. Obviously, we don't want to go off of what he's just done at the last World Cup. He scored 4 goals, I believe, and obviously since then he's become, in my opinion, the best player in the world. But he's proven that at this tournament as well, there was a lot of pressure on him, to carry France through, especially what happened at the Euros, missing that penalty. There's a lot of pressure, but literally since the first game, he's been on it. Not saying that Messi and Neymar don't deserve to be up there, and they're definitely in the conversation. So
Neymar was injured though, so he's not even had a chance really until obviously the first game and then the round of 16 game. But for Messi, surely Zach, player of the tournament so far, individual performance-wise, he stood out.
No.
No?
No.
You don't think he stood out?
I am the Messi lover. I will say he's the best player in the world.
You dressed like him today.
I've tried my best. But if we are being really honest, Messi hasn't been to the level that maybe I was expecting. Maybe I expected too much. But he's getting there.
What were you expecting though? He scored a crucial goal for them against Mexico.
100%.
He's performed in every single game.
His last game in the round of 16 was his best one yet. It really was.
Against Australia,
and it was good.
That was his best game, but the games before that, he still had moments.
Wait a minute, are you not? You're judging Messi on who Messi was, not who Messi is now. And actually, right now, he has been.
I think if you're saying who's been the best player at the tournament so far, it's Mbappe. It really is. Mbappe is ridiculous. Or Griezmann. Or Antoine Griezmann for that France squad. I think they've been ridiculous. Messi has been amazing. Don't get me wrong. He's been great. But he's not been the standard of what maybe the best player of the tournament has been.
Are you judging Messi, though, by his own standard of him and Cristiano Ronaldo? Because Mbappe is the greatest player, I'd say one of the best players in the world right now. Yeah. He's not on Messi's level. Are you judging them on different?
He's not on Messi's level in a general sense for sure. But at this tournament, I don't think those first couple of games, I didn't think Messi was that amazing. I went to watch Messi play his second group game, who I've forgotten against.
Mexico.
Against Mexico.
That was a crucial game, and they had to win, and he scored the first goal.
It wasn't Mexico which I watched. He didn't score in the game, put it that way. And I was watching then. I didn't think he was.
Saudi Arabia or Poland the other two. Poland they played.
Poland was the one.
That was the last one.
But that's what I'm saying. In that Mexico game, he literally had to win.
Don't get me wrong.
He had to perform. Everyone was saying, Messi doesn't perform as well at World Cups or whatever. Then he scores a great goal. The next game as well, plays great again. And he's been.
I just think if you ask Messi, how do you think your World Cup's been? He wouldn't say it's been as good as maybe previous tournaments. And look, maybe again he plays for a ridiculous standard. And I'm not saying he's been bad.
That's harsh.
I'm not saying he's been bad at all. But if it's about the player of the tournament, it's not been Messi. It has not been Messi.
He's definitely top three.
Third, fourth, possibly. Yeah, I could agree to that. But not the player of the tournament. Just like Neymar, not the player of the tournament, hasn't played. which is fair enough. But I think if you're being honest, it's either Mbappe or Griezmann. I feel like I've put a lot of hate on Messi. I'm not
Clip that out.
I'm not hating on it. I absolutely adore the man.
Hater. Don't say you
I just think I want to be honest with it, and and I think he himself would say that he's not been to the level maybe he wants to be.
I've looked at his Instagram captions and he thinks he's playing great.
You think Messi does his own?
Yeah, you think he's
really? now we do.
Right, let's move on then. Golden Boot.
Olympics then.
Lautaro Martinez for Jamie Carragher, Kylian Mbappe for Gary Neville, aka Djallab, both his biggest fan. Right, let's talk about this because Martinez in with a shout.
By the way he looks at it, I think he's basically thought Messi's going to be unbelievable.
Yeah.
However, Messi's not going to be maybe the striker,
scorer,
and it'll be Martinez. And actually, what we found is Martinez hasn't played that often. It's been Alvarez as well, and he's kind of changed that Argentina side. I like with the way it looks like, at least with Carragher, is that. He thinks Argentina were going to go all the way, and so because of that's why Messi's there, that's why Martinez is there. He's not the only person I saw shouting out Martinez. I think that's fair enough. He's a guy that was meant to be leading the line for Argentina.
And if he didn't stray offside so many times against Saudi Arabia, he probably would have been up there.
Yeah, he probably would have had it. He would have had a few goals. I just think. I mean, I never saw Argentina getting to the final. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to probably lose to Brazil in the semis because that's how they're going to meet. Or who knows? Maybe they have a shock and go out in the quarters. But I still think Martinez was maybe a very outside shout when you do have the likes of Harry Kane. I know, obviously, with hindsight, he's only got one goal now. But with the likes of Mbappe and so on and so forth, Richarlison for Brazil, and so I mean, to be fair, Richarlison wouldn't be one that I would have said.
Yeah, but it's a similar mold in the sense of playing around. Neymar,
100%.
Vinicius going to be providing
100%.
for you. So,
and so I think Martinez, bit of an outside shout, but I can understand the reasoning.
Mbappe, will he win the Golden Boot?
Yeah.
Is it that simple? Is it because he looks like he's scoring plenty of goals? He looks like he's no.
You're saying it because you're hoping he don't score against England,
but not Golden Boot.
No, because he doesn't want him to score against England.
So far.
But the reality is, I think even if England are to win, Mbappe will still score. Like, he's in that form where everything that he's doing is just working, and like he's so confident right now. So I see him. He could potentially break records this World Cup.
Sounds right. I'm doing it in the sense that England are going to win and he's not going to score any goals and that's his tournament over and Rashford goes and wins the Golden Boot. But if I'm being logical, he just looks ridiculous. He's a guy that the two goals that he scored are outrageous. The one in the round of 16, the first one, where he just takes. The way he sells his body is that he's almost going to curl it, and he doesn't. He sells the keeper and he goes to the left. It's just outrageous. He's a guy that, like we were mentioning Messi earlier, he's already competing with Messi to match how many goals he scored at the World Cup.
I think he scored more goals than Ronaldo at the World Cup. He's cleared a few legends already, and this is to see second World Cup as well. So
it's outrageous.
He's on a different level.
When he first started coming through, one of my really, really out there and bold shouts was that he would become the best player to ever play football. Very bold shout, very, very bold shout.
And it could happen.
And it depends what you say is the best player. Is it the guy that creates opportunities, is amazing to watch, is skillful, so on and so forth? That is Messi, obviously, and he's still got a long, long time in his career. But good luck, Carl Walker.
For real.
Right, quick one, just a name each then. Golden Boot winner, end of the tournament. Sam? Mbappe, Zach?
Mbappe. I almost started singing it wrong.
Bukayo Saka.
I mean, 3 goals already. We'll leave it at that. Okay, next up, we've got biggest failure because the magnet was already printed. Let's make that clear. Jamie and Gary, though, their actual choice was surprise early exit from the tournament. Jamie went with Belgium, Gary went with Uruguay. Both spot on.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't argue with that. Both biggest failure and surprise early exit. Zach, did you not believe that Belgium would get through?
I was saying beforehand that Belgium, it was almost as the last World Cup was Belgium's time. That was it, and they came third. They came third, which is a respectable place to finish. Obviously, beating England in the third place playoff. However, this year going into it just felt like things weren't in their favour already. I can understand as well, especially with their FIFA ranking and the players that they've got by names. They still do look huge. Eden Hazard, Romelu Lukaku, Kevin De Bruyne, Thibaut Courtois, so on and so forth.
I didn't expect them to be that bad though. Like they were.
Who specifically?
Like just Belgium in general. Like the whole team, the energy around the squad. Obviously, there was a few reports. We don't know what to believe or whatever, but like you could just see their energy was just off. Like the
Rifts
last
in the
game,
camp, reports of people flying home.
De Bruyne literally coming out and saying we're too old whilst at the competition.
One of their senior players, the
thought.
person that's supposed to like take them into their next generation. Yeah, I think they were.
But it's a good shout, like especially because I think a lot of other people would have looked at Belgium still, maybe gone, you know, oh they've got all these players, they can go really far, and so I think it's a good shout. Uruguay, I'm being honest, I didn't actually quite know how they were going to be at this tournament. It was a tough group. And literally happened in the last minute of a game, and so like it could have been very, very different.
That's their own fault though. If they would have had better results earlier on, we can't just say, oh, it came down to another team scoring.
I also think
they put themselves in and they had plenty of chances. That third game,
facts.
they should have scored more. And I know it's easier said than done, but you can't blame other teams if you're not scoring.
For sure, and I think I do have to give the same thing as I said to Belgium. Belgium were a team ageing. Uruguay, especially their front line, was one that was ageing as well, aside relying on Luis Suarez and Edison Cavani.
But they haven't got Nunes. Everyone's talking about him, how much he costs.
For sure, Nunes is a guy who probably will come away from this tournament feeling very, very disappointed, and I think that's completely fair enough. But they still were very reliant on the old guards.
Can I ask a question just on Uruguay? Because why do we expect so much from a nation so small? And that's no disrespect. We talked about Wales before and we go, they're such a small nation. But with Uruguay, I've got this expectation that they can always go really far in these tournaments.
It's the players that they have. Like when you look at the crop of players, like even the senior players, Cavani, Suarez, they switched in a few of the games, but then having Darwin Núñez, you know, Valverde in the middle, and I think the manager slightly got it wrong because the game against Ghana, I think that was like they had the perfect game plan. They created loads of chances, but in the games before that, I think he was still trying to work out what system, what team to play. And obviously, you know, the World Cup, you play 3 games, and if you don't get it right in 2 of them, then you're going home.
And I think to answer your question, like it's just full credit to them because of
100%.
that. Like they have made, like considering the size of their nation, it's incredible what they've done. It really, really is. And I think because they've had such World Cup history and such World Cup pedigree from the very start of the competition, we've just slowly developed this idea of Uruguay going really far and doing really well, and I really think that is huge. Like congratulations to them for giving us that interpretation.
Right. Next up, winners. Jamie Carragher had Argentina. Gary Neville had Brazil. These two could meet in the semi-finals.
Yes.
I would have loved to be in a final, but agree with that, disagree. Argentina, strongest in the group, not in the groups, strongest it looks like so far with players. Everyone wants them to go the furthest, the fans, the full package. But Brazil, best team in the tournament. Nobody beats them, in my opinion. No one beats them.
We watched Brazil yesterday, and they looked outrageous. They looked ridiculous. They're the best team. That was the best game, best team I've seen a side have. Just dominate it from kickoff, and also just have fun throughout the whole time. It was actually quite something to watch. Same time, I thought South Korea were maybe a little bit poor, considering I actually thought they were better in other games. What really intrigued me is that in Carragher's one, he had a Messi versus Ronaldo final. He had Argentina coming up against Portugal, and so that was I thought was quite interesting.
And
I think
Messi goes out on top then?
Well, yeah, Messi. If it does become Argentina versus Portugal, every day of the week, I think Argentina are beating them. But I think this is more, again, the heart. If you're not saying England, the heart, the head.
But I also think not putting France there is kind of harsh as well. Obviously, they weren't that great before this tournament, but at the same time, you look at their squad. Yes, they lost players like Kante and Pogba, but the players that have replaced them, Tchouaméni, Rabiot, having great tournaments. Obviously, we're saying that in hindsight, but to put the winners of the last tournament so far out of this conversation is a bit extreme to me, especially when you look at the squad depth. Because when Brazil and France, obviously their last group game, they both played completely different teams, but you saw the quality in those teams. I think Argentina don't have that luxury. I think when you take out some of their players and you replace them with a few others, I think Martinez coming back into the squad is what really saved them, in my opinion. If that didn't happen, then they wouldn't even.
I still don't think Argentina have been that great. I really don't. I feel like I'm still seeing. There's a weird nervous. I kind of get it with England sometimes when it's 0-0 and England. Once England score, it's almost like a pressure's lifted and they're playing so much more freely.
Yeah.
Argentina, but it's a different pressure where I said it before. When you're in that stadium, everyone is just like looking at Messi like a god and just expecting him to do something. And I feel like there is such a huge pressure on them.
And against Australia, obviously Australia get that first goal, they're building, and great save by Emi Martinez and actually him being able to keep them in it. But Australia looked like they were going to score, and they looked like they could have, and it was on the cards. And actually, I think if these two go head to head, just a quick note as well, Thogden chose Argentina when we did our predictions. James Alcott, he predicted Brazil. Again,
Thogden is our Carragher.
Wow.
Never thought I'd see the day.
But looking at these two, I mean, France just aren't in the conversation, Sam, it seems.
No, I think it's harsh. I understand why, like, going into this tournament, I think it would be France or Brazil.
Yeah.
I think Brazil, from what we saw yesterday, it's going to be tough to beat them. Even the players that they had coming off the bench, you know, Rodrigo, Martinelli, like they gave an appearance to their third place goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? Like even Tite doing the celebration with them, like the harmony, everything around the squad. I feel like even Neymar coming out of the squad, that would be huge. If that happened to an Argentina or France, it would be game over.
Yeah. So it's like Messi or Mbappe being out of the squad. For England, Harry Kane being out of the squad. Quick one though, on the other side of the bracket, obviously these could meet in the semi-final. Do France definitely get to the final for you?
Definitely is an extreme because I don't know. I don't want them
to. So what,
to.
they've got to beat England and then they've got to beat Portugal or Spain?
If they beat England, I think that they will.
Whoever wins in England-France makes it to the final.
Yeah,
I honestly believe that. I think if I'm being honest, I think it's 60-40. 60 to France, 40 to England. I don't think England have a good chance. If England are on their day, but
it's the pressure thing that you're talking about as well. When
there is
England,
a pressure
when they're playing, like knowing that they've been in that position, they want to get further. But France, they've also got that maturity and know-how as well. So
France haven't necessarily played a tough team at this tournament either. So it'll be very interesting to see how they deal with playing the likes of England. And this isn't an England of 2018 where they are defensive, they're three at the back. I mean, he might play three at the back, it wouldn't surprise me. It's definitely a different England now, a much tougher England.
Yeah.
Right, well, these are Jamie Carragher's and Gary Neville's predictions. Make sure you drop us a comment, like the video, subscribe to the channel, jump in the comments, all right? What do you think of their predictions? Go back as well, because as I keep on mentioning, James Alcott, Thogden, they gave their predictions at the very start of the tournament. Tell us we're wrong, agree, disagree.
Tell us we're wrong.
What do you make? We probably are wrong, to be fair. Please do get in touch. Zach, Sam, thank you so much. This is the Heated Debate brought to you by Emirates. We're here every single match day, which means we will be back for the quarter-finals, so make sure you check us out. We'll see you there.